utterly poor. Poor. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبو القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على وآل محمد
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. مناجاة المفتقرين. إلهي كسري لا يجبره إلا لطفك وحنانك، وفقري لا يغنيه إلا عطفك وإحسانك، وروعتي لا يسكنها إلا أمانك، وذلتي لا يعزها إلا سلطانك، وأمنيتي لا يبلغنيها إلا فضلك، وخلتي لا يسدها إلا طولك، وحاجتي لا يقضيها غيرك، وكربي لا يفرجه سوى رحمتك، وضري لا يكشفه غير رأفتك، وغلتي لا يبردها إلا وصلك، ولوعتي لا يطفيها إلا للقاؤك، والشوق إليك لا يبله إلا النظر إلى وجهك، وقراري لا يقر دون دنو منك، ولهفتي لا يردها إلا روحك، والسقم لا يشفيه إلا طبك، وغمي لا يزيله إلا قربك، وجرحي لا يبرئه إلا صفحك، ورين قلبي لا يجلوه إلا عفوك، ووسواس صدري لا يزيح إلا أمرك، فيا منتهى أمل الآملين، ويا غاية سول السائلين، ويا أقصى طلبة الطالبين، ويا أعلى رغبة الراغبين، ويا ولي الصالحين، ويا أمان الخائفين، ويا مجيب دعوة المسترين، ويا ذخر المعدمين، ويا كنز البائسين، ويا غياث المستغيثين، ويا قاضي حوائج الفقراء والمساكين، ويا أكرم الأكرمين، ويا أرحم الراحمين، لك تخضعي وسؤالي، وإليك تضرعي وابتهالي، أسألك أن تنيلني من روح رضوانك، وتديم علي نعم امتنانك، وها أنا بباب كرمك واقف، ولنفحات برك متعرض، وبحبلك الشديد معتصم، وبعربة الوثقى متمسك. إلهي ارحم عبدك الذليل ذا اللسان الكليل والعمل القليل، وامنن عليه بثولك الجزيل، واكنفه تحت ظلك الظليل، يا كريم يا جميل يا أرحم الراحمين، بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
My Lord, nothing but your gentle favors and loving care will mend my brokenness, and nothing but your affection and beneficence can free me of my poverty, and nothing but your protection can calm my fears, and nothing but your power can lift me up from my humiliation, and nothing but your favors can make me to reach my hope and dreams, and nothing but your generosity can compensate of what I am lacking, and nothing but you can accomplish my needs, and nothing but your mercy can relieve me of my distress, and nothing but your clemency can remove my misery, and nothing but by reaching your proximity can my burning thirst be quenched, and nothing but my meeting you can my fire be extinguished, and nothing but gazing upon you can stop my passionate longing for you, and nothing but my getting close to you can settle me, and nothing but your trust can relieve my fears, and nothing but your remedy can cure my illness, and nothing but your nearness can eliminate my grief, and nothing but your forgiveness can heal my wound, and nothing but your pardon can remove the rust that is on my heart, and nothing but your command can banish the confusing thoughts from my breast. O utmost hope of those who have hope, O the one who is ultimate wish of the ones who ask, O the utmost aim of the ones who request, O the highest desire of the ones who desire, O guardian of the righteous, O the best protector of the fearful, O the best responder to the supplication of the distressed, O the protector of the destitute, O treasure of the people who are distressed, O the helper of those who are seeking help, O the accomplisher of the needs of the poor and the miserable, O most generous of the most generous, O most merciful of the merciful. To you and only you is my humble request. To you and only you is my pleading and imploring. I ask you and only you to let me attain the awareness that you are happy with me, and to continue your constant favors of kindness towards me. Here I am, standing before the gate of your generosity, opening myself up to the breeze of your goodness, holding fast to your strong rope, clinging to your firm handle. My Lord, have mercy upon your lowly slave, one who has a silent tongue and few good deeds. Oblige him through your abundant kindness. Shelter him under your extended shadow. O generous, O beautiful, O most merciful of the merciful. Allah.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Today's topic is with regards to the ethics and manners or akhlaq. The word akhlaq is derived from the root khulq, meaning disposition. Disposition is nurtured by the regularity of an action or practice such that it becomes ingrained in the mind and heart of a person, resulting in the innate tendency to revert to that action. The action becomes second nature to him, It is the variety of these dispositions that ultimately compose the entirety of our character. It is this character forming the true image of a person and not his or her physical qualities. And this character that interacts with the world, whether one's character is of the negative nature or negative trait, like being aggressive or ill tempered, foul mouthed, untrustworthy, and mischievous. Or we see the positive traits whereby the is God centric, he is pleasant, is courteous, is humble, and concerned with the well being of others. Indeed, the nature of this character is the culmination of years of development of either negative or positive traits. For this reason, Imam Ali alayhi salatu was salam
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
stated the distinguished feature of a believer is his good character. Mankind's interactions are divided into three groups: his akhlaq with Allah, his akhlaq with the world, and his akhlaq with his own self. So if a person finds any flaw or drawback in his interaction or manners in any of these three areas, he must identify the reasons for its presence. How it became that way and what steps must be taken to rectify his disposition from a negative one to a positive and beautiful one. Allah promises His assistance to those who take on this endeavor or this initiative, saying with the words of the Quran, which says, "And as for those who strive hard in our cause, surely we guide them in our ways." So we need to constantly seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and what is the best way to strive in his path. Because we have come from him, we are going back to him. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So our constant attention should be towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the attention only will not help. Seeking of help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly will help. And this is what He is asking us to do, that if we constantly keep in touch with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seek His help, inshallah we will be guided accordingly. The greatest and noblest character was that of our blessed Holy Prophet, about whom Allah confirms, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, and certainly you have attained an exalted standard of character. This is a Surah Qalam, chapter 68, verse 4. His moral perfection should be studied and encompassed into our lives so that we live up to his lofty values. So, we have the Quran, whereby when we study the Quran, before studying even, when you just look at the Quran, the blessing starts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we read, we get more blessings. Then when we study the Quran, try to understand. As we know that when we are reading Quran, it's basically Allah is talking to us, right? So let us, inculcate that habit that Allah is talking to us and we are learning from Allah and constantly seeking His help. That Holy Quran, which has been brought to us through the Holy Prophet, who is the best of the characters. Now, here Allah tells us that if you are, reading the Quran, you are following the Quran, you are acting upon the Quran, then you need to keep in mind the Holy Prophet through whom I have sent the Holy Quran, who is the best of the characters. So now get your characters refined through the Holy Prophet. And the Holy Prophet's character is also exemplified in Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam's supplication for the highest moral character, Dua Makarimul Akhlaq, as we know, wherein he prays, make me worship you, Ya Allah, make me worship you, but do not let my worship be corrupted by conceit. I should not be cheating myself when I'm worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm saying something and there is something else in my heart or in my mind. Let good flow out from my hands for people, but do not let me erase it by making them feel obliged. Grant me the highest moral traits, but protect me from vanity. O Allah, bless Muhammad and his family. Raise me not a single degree with people unless you have lowered me an equal amount within myself. Let there not occur any outward honor for me unless there has occurred an inner degradation of an equal amount within myself. And here, if you see that this is in reference to the supplication number 20 of Saif al-Sajadiyah. Now we will look at one or two short stories where how our great scholars have displayed their highest moral or characters. In the first story, Sheikh al-Nomani narrates that on a particular day during his house arrest, as you know, in Iraq, in those old times, especially in the time of the dictator Saddam Hussein, and in the other rulers' time, where you see these ulamas, great ulamas had to undergo difficulties and house arrest. He says that Sheikh Nomani narrates that on a particular day during his house arrest, Shaheed Muhammad Bakr al-Sadr was looking through a hole in the wall at the guards surrounding the house. So the guards outside were surrounding. So because he's under house arrest, when he saw one of them finding the heat difficult to bear, as you know, the heat in Iraq, our guys just come, so, and wiping his forehead in a state of distress, he recited the Kalimat Istirja, or what we call Inna Lillah wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un. He addressed Shaheed al-Sadr asking, why do you have sympathy for these people? These people prevent you from living and stop those who love you from meeting you. So with the house arrest, as you know, that they could not even see the people. People would not have access, even their families. At times, under house arrest, maybe the families were together, but at times they were even isolated. Because of them, your children are scared and are prevented from having even the simplest of things. These are the things our great scholars had faced in their times. But they sacrificed their life in love of the religion of Allah, the love of Ahlul Bayt. Shaheed al-Sadr replied, See the reply he is giving. This is not the right view to have. We must have sympathy for them. Know that when we wear this turban, we must change the way we look at people. We do not know whether they have deviated because of not having a good Islamic environment or not receiving the correct education that nurtures sound belief. How many examples do we have of misguided people who have been guided and reformed? And in reference to this, we have the Quranic verse in chapter 61, verses 2 and 3. This action is the manifestation of the noble verses. O you who believe, why do you say that which you do not do? It is most hateful to Allah that should say that which you do not do. And then further it says, maybe one day they too will become guided. Please go and give them some water. And again, in reference to this, we have the verse 23 to 24 from chapter 22, where this action is the manifestation of the noble verses. Surely Allah will make those who believe and do good deeds enter gardens, and they are guided to goodly words. The Sheikh al-Nomani went out and gave the guards water. He spoke with the captain of the guards, who sent a message back to Shahid al-Sadr saying, don't surrender to these cowardly people. They are shaking in fear of you. And again, this action is the manifestation of the noble narration in which Imam Ali alayhi salam says, a person who teaches his own self and disciplines his own self deserves more reverence than a man who teaches others and disciplines them. So many times we don't realize that how much lucky we are that we are as followers of Ahlul Bayt. But are we true followers of Ahlul Bayt? Am I giving advice here when I'm myself not guiding my own self? So it is very important that we realize this thing, and we should be grateful that we are in the mazhab of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, day in, day out. Tomorrow has passed, we were inshallah as followers of Ahlul Bayt, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Come today is a new day. Whether we will still remain as followers of Ahlul Bayt, we don't know. So it's very important that we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek His help to keep us on the right path as followers of Ahlul Bayt. So every day it matters. So when we start morning, we pray for that one so that before we retire to bed, we still remain on the footsteps of Ahlul Bayt. Salawat. And one more story. Al-Hajj Ibrahim Lari recounts that one of his friends hired a group of Egyptian workers to carry out a certain project in his house. And whilst praying, he saw that they prayed in the manner that the Shia pray. As you know, in those times, there were more of Ahl Sunnah than the Shia. And of course, mashallah, these days is in Iraq, see there are more Shias, and even Iran in those days, it was not sort of clear that who are Shias in the times of Shah. So, having assumed that the workers were Sunni, Al-Hajj Ibrahim asked them why they were praying in the Shia way. He just wanted to know how did they come to? Was it because uh, in fear that Al-Hajj Ibrahim Lali is a Shia and we are with him, so we should be praying in a Shia way? So they were Ahl Sunnah. The workers replied, yes, we are Shia, and the reason for us converting and becoming Shia is that once we were working in Kuwait, and there was a scholar in the mosque close to where we were working. He used to live in a flat close to the mosque, and he would regularly come holding a tray with food and drink. And in reference to this action is the manifestation of the noble words, call to the way of your Lord with wisdom and goodly exhortation, and have disputations with them in the best of manners. And the reference is Quran 16, verse 125. See just one little action, how you are able to change a person to become Shia just by serving a tray of food and drink. He says that he used to give us the water with his own hands. We became enamored or attracted by his great character, and we loved him, and we loved his school of thought. So he says, not only loving him, so this is what you see we are required, that we are able to attract people towards us. They start loving us, but then that love will ultimately take them to our school of thought. He would like to know from which school of thought you are. And then we became Shia Muslims because of him. It's just his characters, how, because he could see that these people, they need my help. If I'm eating and I'm seeing that they are hungry, or they could have, served themselves, but if I've got the opportunity now to serve them, why not? And you see how much the noble results are because of this, kindness. This person was Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Riza Shirazi. And again, in reference to this action, he says this action is the manifestation of the noble narration in which Imam Ali alayhi salam says, rehabilitate and reform the wrongdoer by your good deeds towards him, and indicate towards good deeds through your good words. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq so that we follow in these words of wisdom of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Salawat. As is our practice, we recite a bit of Masai, and I know we just celebrated Eidul Ghadi yesterday, but now we are aiming towards the month of Muharram, and I thought only tomorrow evening would be the eve night of the Shahadat of Farzandane Muslim alayhi salam. So I said we will inshallah do some Masaib of the tragedy of the two sons of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam. He said after the death of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil, his two sons Ibrahim and Muhammad, who had now become orphans, were being chased by Ibn Ziyad. As they were living with Qazi Shurai, Qazi, because of Ibn Ziyad's threat, he, through his son Asad, tried to arrange to send off the boys on a caravan to Medina, but unfortunately they missed the caravan and ended up in Ibn Ziyad's prison. However, because the jailer, whose name was Mashkur, he was a lover of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, he treated them with kindness and affection and also gave food and water. And in the middle of night, he freed them and told them to go to his brother in Qadisiyah, who will assist them to go to Medina. Because of freeing the boys, Mashkur was sentenced to 50 lashes, as a result of which he died. This was the sacrifice of Mashkur for the orphans of Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam in Kufa. Ibrahim and Muhammad walked all night, but due to the darkness and the fact that they did not know the way to Qadisiyah, they found themselves still on the outskirts of Kufa in the morning. The frightened boys saw a palm grove and went to it and hid on top of a dead palm. They were now spotted by the maid of Harith ibn Urwa's wife, and she treated them with kindness and gentleness and took them to her mistress, who was a lover of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. She put her arms around them and showed great affection after knowing that these were Muslim sons. The boys ate food and went to bed. Later, Harith returned home in a state of rage because he failed to get hold of Ibrahim and Muhammad. After eating his supper, Harith went to sleep. Meanwhile, both brothers suddenly woke up from their sleep. They had a disturbed dream pointing to their killing. They had also seen the Holy Prophet and other family members, including their father Muslim, informing the Holy Prophet that his children would be united with them next day. The children embraced each other in the darkness of the night, frightened and not knowing what was to become of them. Harith Mal'un was woken from his sleep by the sound of boys' voices, and when he came to know they are the sons of Muslim ibn Aqil, he slapped them viciously and tied their hands and feet. In the morning, Harith, with his sword in his hand and accompanied by his son and his servant, took the two boys to the banks of Euphrates. Harith's wife cried and pleaded to save the children, but he pushed her away. He gave his sword to his servant to behead the two boys, but he refused, so Harith killed him. Harith then told his son to kill the boys, but he also refused, and so Harith took his son's life. He now turned to the children, who were crying and shaking with fear at what they had witnessed. The children begged for some time for them to offer their final prayers, but Harith did not grant them their wish. He grabbed hold of Muhammad, but Ibrahim threw himself on Muhammad in an attempt to save him. Muhammad did the same in order to save the life of his younger brother. Impatiently, Harith struck his sword at Muhammad, beheading him. Ibrahim grabbed the head of his brother in his lap. As he wept over his brother, Harith struck at Ibrahim's neck, beheading the orphan. He then threw the headless bodies of the orphans of Muslim ibn Aqil in the river and placed their heads on a stake and set off to the palace of Ibn Ziyad. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل بيت محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون إلهي وندعوك ونسألك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأجل الأكرم يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله إلهي بحق محمد وأنت المحمود وبحق علي وأنت الأعلى وبحق فاطمة أنت فاطر السماوات والأرض وبحق الحسن وأنت المحسن وبحق الحسين وأنت قديم الإحسان وبحق تسة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة الحسين وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المؤمنين اللهم اقض حوائجنا وحوائج المؤمنين اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من خير أواني وأنصارك ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بجاه محمد وآل الطاهرين الصلواتك عليهم أجمعين إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.